What if one of the 20th century's greatest science communicators accurately mapped the road from superstition to societal collapse step by step, and we remarching it right now? What if the most dangerous crisis we face isn't war, famine, or even climate change, but our appetite for comforting illusions? Carl Sagan wasn't only a poet of the stars, he was a ruthless examiner of human folly. In his late work, he outlined a pattern of cultural drift from evidence to enchantment that, if left unchecked, would pull modern civilization back into the dark. Not with cataclysms, but with 1,000 small surrenders of the mind. Here's the uncomfortable part. It doesn't begin with villains. It begins with us. We prefer stories that flatter us. We want certainty more than truth, belonging more than accuracy, spiritual anesthesia over intellectual effort. And when that longing gets organized by institutions, algorithms, and charismatic leaders, superstition stops being private comfort and becomes public policy. Sagan foresaw a world thick people with technology, but thin on understanding. A population cradled by satellites, microchips, and vaccines. While growing suspicious of the very methods that made those miracles possible, he warned about a culture that confuses expertise with arrogance, treats facts like opinions, and elevates my truth over testable reality. In that world, evidence doesn't vanish, it just drowns in vibes. Religion, at its best, can inspire compassion and humility. But when faith is weaponized as immunity from inquiry, it teaches a disastrous habit: believe first, question later if at all. That habit metastasizes. It leaves classrooms allergic to evolution, hospitals vulnerable to quackery, and democracies exposed to conspiracy. It's not that science and spirituality must be enemies. It's that any claims deserve proportionate evidence. Reality isn't a popularity contest. Sagan's warning wasn't a sneer from an ivory tower, it was triage. He watched how a culture can slowly de-skill itself, entertainment replacing education, punditry masquerading as proof, and balance giving equal airtime to nonsense. The result isn't debate, it's paralysis. When every idea gets a participation trophy, knowledge and nonsense tie. And when knowledge only ties, ignorance wins. How does that slide happen? Through a simple bargain that feels innocent. Tell me I'm special, tell me there's a plan. Tell me the universe owes me meaning. That's a beautiful hunger and a dangerous one. Because if you outsource meaning to stories that can't be questioned, you've handed your future to whoever tells the most soothing tale. Sagan's point wasn't to strip life of wonder. It was to protect wonder from being counterfeited. So, what breaks the spell? First, literacy, scientific literacy, yes, but also psychological literacy. Learn how your brain self-comforts. Notice confirmation bias when it strokes your ego. Recognize tribal thinking when it whispers that disagreement is betrayal. You cannot protect your mind if you don't know how it tricks you. Second, cultivate the habit Sagan cherished: what would change my mind? That one question turns faith as shield into curiosity as compass. It invites evidence, not as an enemy of meaning, but as its guardian. If a belief is true, testing won't harm it. It will refine it. If a belief is false, testing is mercy. Third, rebuild prestige around rigor. Celebrate the teacher who explains, the reporter who corrects, the citizen who says, "I don't know, let me check." Make intellectual humility aspirational again. Humility is not the enemy of conviction, it's the foundation of trustworthy conviction. Finally, keep the awe, keep the goosebumps. Keep the silence you feel under a sky of cold fire, but anchor your awe in reality. The cosmos is already more mysterious than any dogma. It does not need to be embellished to be sacred. We are not doomed to a demon-haunted world. We can choose a candle instead of a charm, a question instead of a slogan, a community built on shared methods instead of shared myths. That was Sagan's faith not in a creed, but in our capacity to learn, revise, and care enough about each other to insist on what's true. Because civilizations don't fall when they doubt, they fall when they stop daring to doubt. If you felt a tug while listening, hold on to it. Let it change your next conversation, your next click, your next certainty. Ask for evidence, offer grace, and keep looking up, not to escape the world but to see it clearly. If this sparked your curiosity, subscribe and join a community that protects wonder with evidence. Like, share, and drop a comment. What belief would you be willing to change if the evidence asked you to? New episodes every week bring your questions, not your certainties.